Find all solutions to cosine alpha minus sine squared alpha equals 0 in the interval 0 to 360 degrees. When I first read that 360 degrees really resonates with me because, right, we're used to seeing like 2 pi or pi over 2. So I want to make some kind of a note that's not just mental, that it's in degrees. Because I know that if I'm taking a test and it asks for degrees and I'm not going to put it in degrees, there's a good chance my instructor is going to count that wrong. And that would that would be bad. So where are we going to start with this one? Well, I'm going to rewrite it first because remember, a lot of times when you're rewriting it, something might click. And sure enough, I see that it says sine squared alpha. Well, I know that there is an identity for that. And I'm going to write it over here on the right-hand side to kind of as a refresher. Remember that the sine squared of alpha equals 1 minus cosine squared alpha. So now I'm going to plug that into my original. So I'm going to get the cosine of alpha minus, now it's that whole thing, so 1 minus cosine squared alpha equals 0. And then I'm going to distribute the negative. So I'm going to get cosine alpha minus 1 plus cosine squared alpha equals 0. Well, when I'm looking at this, something looks familiar, right? I've got just a cosine alpha term, I've got a number, and I've got a cosine alpha term squared. And as I'm looking at that, I'm thinking of the quadratic formula. So remember that was ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Now notice you're thinking, I'm really going to have to use a quadratic formula in trig, and I hate to say it, the answer is yes, but you know how to do it. So it's not going to be as hard as it seems. So first I want to rewrite that line above, the a squared plus b squared plus c equals 0 in the same form as the quadratic. So that's going to become the cosine squared of alpha plus the cosine of alpha minus 1 equals 0. Well, now I can see what is a, what is b, and what is c. Well, what are they? A, b are both 1, so a equals 1, b equals 1, and c is going to equal to minus 1. It's not so bad because we don't have to do anything with the cosine now, right? All we have to do is remember that instead of x, the answer is cosine alpha. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to have cosine of alpha equals, now what is the quadratic formula? I'm going to have minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2 times a. Not so bad, right? So if I simplify, I'm going to get minus 1 plus or minus the square root of 1 plus 4 all over 2. I'm going to go ahead and continue it over here on the other side so that you can see exactly what I'm doing. So that means that when we're all finished simplifying, we get that the cosine of alpha equals minus 1 plus or minus the square root of 5 all over 2. Okay, so not so bad, right? Now, we started in degrees. Remember I made a big point about putting that in the upper right-hand corner of this video. So I need degrees. I don't need anything that's got a radical in it. So there's actually 2 solutions, right? There's cosine alpha equals minus 1 minus the square root of 5 over 2. And then there's also cosine of alpha, hopefully this will fit, minus 1 plus the square root of 5 over 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do each of those calculations on my handy dandy little calculator. So the one on the left comes out to be about negative 1.62. The one on the right comes out to be approximately 0.6180. Now we notice we got that negative one over there on the left. Is that a possible solution? And the answer is no. How do you check it? You stick it back in the original and you see if it equals 0. Now when I plug in the 0.6180 back into the original and solve for alpha, I get approximately 51.8 degrees. Now, is that the only value? Is that the sole answer? Well, I'm going from 0 to 360. So if I'm going all the way around the circle, there's a good chance that there's another option. And how do you find that other angle? But remember, for the other one, you take 360 minus what you just got, which is the 51.8. And so I'm going to get, for that one, that alpha is going to be 308.2. So my final answers are 51.8 degrees and 308.2 degrees.